Hello friends, welcome back for another part of our walkthrough in Oxygen Not Included Spaced Out DLC. We are pretty much ready to get settled on our new metal asteroid. I call it that. It's like the irradiated forged asteroid, whatever. There's a lot of metal there and I want it, so let's go get it. So first of all, what we need to do is if we go in the star map, we need to deploy our cargo. Just so that it all lands on the planet somewhere and we can actually use it to build a rocket platform to land our rocket on. So looks like we didn't get the greatest spread in terms of where everything's gonna land, so that's not super cool. I guess we could land a little bit higher than we would normally want to, just because we'll be near the resources. The other option we could do is we could have a bot come down and build a whole bunch of this stuff before we get started, and maybe I'll do that. This was not the best spread, but oh well. We should be fine. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to select my rovers module and deploy that somewhere. I'm just going to deploy it up here, and what's going to happen is a bot is just going to come down here and land, and now I can give it commands. It can only handle like some basic commands, so I'm going to have it unload some of this material so that we can build a platform. And then I'm probably also just going to build a ladder all the way down to the point where I want to land it. Because I kind of want to land it like around here. There's some down here too, but this is heavily irradiated. I guess my bot won't really care, so that could potentially be a thing, but I don't know. Let's just build our way down. So our bot can dig out some things, and it can't dig out other things. Anything that's like a simple dig like this, it can dig out. So I'm just going to keep it busy here for just a little bit, and have it start getting resources so that I can build down there. So we should be good if I just start building from here and just kind of build a ladder down. And we can build it every other space if we really want to conserve resources. It is slower to traverse, but that's fine. Alright, now that I know we're fairly close to having this ready, I think if I just put one here, then I can land my duplicant that's going to come down here and help out, because you do need a duplicant that's going to actually be responsible for building the rocket platform. So I'm going to get the duplicant down here to help out, and this will help things go on along a little bit faster. So I'm going to go back into my rocket, and I want to make sure to send somebody that actually is going to go into a suit, and I want to spec them that they are going to be able to work quickly. So, I don't know, Otto, you're over in the corner by yourself, but you're also hungry, so it means you're about to go on break. I think Nikola just woke up, so let's send him. Alright, Nikola. Here you go. Okay, what we need to do for Nikola is we need to get him in a suit, and when you hover over them, you can kind of see what their durability is and how much oxygen they have in it. So I want to select one that has a decent amount of both. This one has 74 kilograms of oxygen. I only say this because once you send a duplicate down there, you're kind of on a clock. You have to make sure that they can get the rocket landed before they're going to run out of air. So, Nikola, you're going down. There you go. Get in your suit. Okay, now that Nikola's in the suit, you're going to want to go back to the star map and select him as the duplicant that's going to be piloting your Trailblazer module. So you can just deploy that, have it go straight down to the surface, and it should land here in just a second, and Nikola will pop out, and it'll help this robot get everything done. So there we go. Nikola's on the surface now and helping, but we're again on a clock for how long Nikola can last before he's going to run out of air. So what I really want to do is I kind of want to flatten out an area so that I can build a rocket platform nicely and not build it so far away from where I'm going to actually be entering this base that it's going to be like really awkward. I guess I could start entering like right here maybe, so maybe this could be where the platform is. You also don't necessarily need it to be like touching the ground. It can be hovering a little bit. Looks like he's idling because there's not enough to do. Let's see. You could start at least deconstructing this. But once we get it over there, we're just going to have to dig out these tiles, and then that should flatten it out to make a nice spot to land our rocket. Then we're going to start building our entrance over here. So, should get there in a second. Yep, there we go. Alright, we should have enough. If you unpack just a handful of these rocket payloads, you should have enough to build your platform, and it doesn't need to be sitting on the ground. This is one of the weird buildings where you can just kind of float it in midair. So I'm just going to do that, I guess, here. And Nikola's just going to get busy going to get these supplies for it, and he'll come down here and he'll build it really quick. And then when he builds it, we can land it, and everybody else will have access to the surface, and we can continue to get moved in here, because we're going to have to build an entrance to this area, probably like right here. And I want to build it close to that because people are effectively going to be living out of this capsule for a little while we're landed. I mean, they're living in space like that anyway, so it's not that weird for them to just be living out of it while they're there. Okay, now once we've landed, you want to make sure that where you place your platform that you have enough height for however tall your rocket is. This is really tall, so I don't have to worry about that, but it can be a thing on some planets where your rocket won't be able to land, and it's not very obvious why it's not landing. So let's go ahead and get the rocket landed. Now we can just take the rocket, change its destination to here, and it should land. One thing we're going to want to do to make sure that they can get in and out safely is anybody that's in here right now is now not in a suit. So if they come out here right now, they're going to get burnt for just a second. It won't be the worst thing, but I do want to make sure that we can at least get back and forth, because right now they probably can't reach. So I'm just going to set up a ladder here really quickly just to make sure that nobody gets stuck. Yep, there's Ada getting burnt. I'm going to deconstruct the bottom steam engine really quickly, because I don't really need that anymore, and I'd rather have my Spacefarer module where everybody's living kind of down here on the ground. There we go. Now we should be able to start building our entrance. So I'm just going to clear these plants out of the way really quick. Everybody else, we can go back and we can assign them into suits, at least for this first time, so that they work a little bit faster. So, sure. Whoops. What am I doing? Okay. Try to get everybody assigned. Some of them, we need to make sure that we're not assigning them to suits that are empty. This is also just kind of an efficiency. They can still work fine without all this stuff, or without getting a suit, but all I really need to do is start to make an entrance point. And we're going to just create a liquid lock like we've typically done a bunch of times. And this is going to be where we place down... They're very happy, by the way. This is going to be where we place down our liquid lock so that on the inside we can start populating this with oxygen. So just going to create a little setup that looks something like this. And because not everybody can work at the same time on this, there's so many duplicates, I'm going to start setting up my power at the same time. I know I'm going to want to be up here for power anyway, so I guess we'll just start putting some panels up like that. And duplicates should start running it up there in just a second. I guess when there's nothing else to do, they will. We need some drywall here to actually hold all the water and air that's going to be needed for this area, so let's try to get a couple more of them into suits, by the way, just so we can work a little bit faster. Ari... There's a suit right here that I want to get, but you're in the way. Ugh. Okay, I give up. Alright, once we have all of our drywall in place, now we can start draining water into here. And that was the whole point of bringing water in the first place. So here, we have a pipe that we just didn't connect before. So now I'm going to connect it, and water is going to start flowing out of my rocket wherever I have it going. So I'm going to have it going from the output into here, and it'll just drain into this chamber to create a liquid lock. In the meantime, I'm just going to start hollowing out some of this area, and this is going to be where we kind of start our colony. And the very first thing that we really need while we're here is we just need to start producing oxygen so that our duplicates can live inside here, and they don't need to live out of the rocket for too much longer. These modules, by the way, we can deconstruct them. I'm going to keep the battery on here for just a second, but we don't need a rover's module or any other of this stuff anymore. And I don't want to have my duplicates spending time, like, running resources to it or anything. So, just going to deconstruct those. Once we get far enough in, we start deconstructing some of these buildings, too. I'm eventually just going to need to drop some oxygen diffusers so that we can start creating oxygen in here, and my duplicates can live there instead of inside the rocket. We'll slowly move, but I'm just going to go through kind of the basics of getting established here. Not going to go into a ton of detail right now, because we don't necessarily need to, but I mean, you just kind of treat it as you're just resetting onto a new asteroid, but you're starting with a lot of duplicates instead of, you know, just the 3 that you normally would. So, just gonna build a floor here, deconstruct some of these buildings that are in the way. I need a big bank open here for suits, because I still want my duplicates to use the suits that I brought. And if I can have them getting all charged up here, that would be really nice. Here we go. There's some oxygen in here that Nisbet's breathing, so that's at least some progress. But we can't really start generating it until we... Oh, these guys are stuck. We can't really start generating it until our liquid lock is done, so we need to wait for that to fill up. Otherwise, we're just going to generate the oxygen and it's going to get blown out into space. Let's set up our heavy watt wires so that we can connect our rocket to power. There we go. Probably need some ladders over here so they can reach. This ladder situation is kind of a mess. We'll get that fixed up eventually. Glad we have at least enough oxygen for Catalina to not suffocate, because she's in not the greatest place right now, considering we don't have any oxygen production happening in here. She doesn't have a suit on. These are gonna be a problem. They might get entombed. I don't want that to happen. Looks like we should be able to get Catalina out of here before it's too much of a problem. Oh, I just did the exact same thing I just canceled. Alright, let's see how many banks we need for suits. We have 8 duplicants here, so... Oh, that's perfect. Okay, cool. So then I'll just create a ladder down and a fire pole down. Maybe like this. Can I use some resources that are near me instead of stuff that's in the ship? Alright, almost got this done, and then Catalina should be able to get out of here. We're like on the slightest of clocks to make sure that Catalina won't suffocate, but she should be okay. There we go. Alright, now that we have this set up, we have the space that's carved out for our suits. Our liquid lock is now doing its job, so I can deconstruct this vent so that we don't use all of our water if we don't have to. Now that we're inside, what we can do is we have this power line that's coming in. I want this power line to run all the way inside my base. Like this. It's going to power all the suits. Let me get rid of all this wire really quickly. And then all we need to have it do is run into a transformer, and then finally into our oxygen production, so that we can get all that set up. We can also get suits built in here before we stop this video, and that'll basically be like our move-in process. And then I'll come back with another video afterward to kind of show the process of how we're going to transition into the rest of it. So... Gonna get a power transformer, gonna get a oxygen diffuser down here, actually 2 because we have a lot of duplicants at this one. This is going to be where we're gonna need some of our refined metal, because I'd rather use that. We're gonna find a lot of metal volcanoes on this planet, by the way, and that's where we're gonna start using a lot of our metal resources instead of ores, so yeah. Once we have that, another thing we could do is we could drop a storage bin nearby to make sure that my duplicants just bring all the algae all at once instead of expecting them to just run it a little bit at a time to these diffusers. So once we get that all up, it should start running here in just a second. Yep, we have our batteries, we have our solar panels up. Let's ask for all the algae really quickly. And then our oxygen diffusers, once they get there, we can start putting up our suit panels so our duplicants take their suits off when they're inside. There we go. Produce an oxygen. Let's start getting our suit stations up. Put a checkpoint here. I don't really want to use my lead if I don't have to. I'd rather use something else. There we go. And then we're just going to create a really simple setup to get oxygen put into those suits. So it's going to be something very simple to what we did before. Just a couple of gas pumps. We're going to do some filtering of this as it comes out of these pumps. We did this already earlier in the run. So going to have a filtration point right here, so that if it's not oxygen, I'm just going to send it out into space. So there we go. We'll set up a gas shutoff. Then we need an element sensor to check what's on the line. And if it's not oxygen, then I want to get rid of it. So not is going to be what we're going to need to introduce on our automation. So there we go. And then, assuming that we get what we want out of this, I'm going to fill up a tank of oxygen down here just to allow us for some automation on my pumps so that I'm not constantly pumping it if I don't have to. So, Catalina's stuck. Again, get out of there. Thank you. Let's get some power running to these. We might as well use our heavy watt wire since it's already here. There we go. Duplicants are taking their suits off now that there's this checkpoint. Gonna start delivering the suits to these docks. Missing. There we go. Alright, and once we get our filtration up, we can hook it up to our tank down here, which we will just kind of pass through this, and then it'll come up and fill up all these suits. There we go. And then we need to hook up some automation to our pumps to say, hey, if we have enough oxygen on I want to say back order, that's not really a thing. If we have enough oxygen stored, then you don't need to continue to pump it. So just kind of hook those two things together. We need to also make sure to filter the element, or rather we need the output of this too. So let's get this sent out into space. If we find something that's not oxygen, we want to get rid of it. I'm going to set this up for oxygen. There we go. Your duplicants might get stuck in here for just a little bit. You can't always disable the Atmosuit checkpoint if you don't want them to just be sitting here doing nothing. But, I mean, we're going to take over this whole asteroid anyway. We might as well just keep them working if they can, if they have the time. So, yeah, just going to keep doing that. Going to create some ladders to get all the material into one place. So there we go. And we'll just continue to expand like we normally would when we were first starting up the game. I guess... oh, my duplicants can't get out right now because they need refined metal to complete the rest of this. So I'm going to disable my suit checkpoint so that my duplicants can actually go get the supplies they need to finish this build. They also can't get to the toilet right now. Thanks, Nisbet. That's great. Alright, so... not going to worry too much about expanding as I'm trying to finish this up so we can finish up the video. Hey, finally a one-take video. I've been hoping that we could get that. We don't have this, like, 8 or 9 part video. But, gonna be finishing this up so at least we can see all this done, and we can see that there's a path forward to kind of, like, living here for the time being. So, the next things I could really start doing is, like, I could build a bedroom, I could build a great hall, which is something I'm gonna want. I want to replace everything that I have in my Spacefarer module, so, like, bathrooms in here... want to move all my food in here eventually, but this is basically it. Let me make sure that we have this all hooked up. Oh, I don't. There. So grabbed hydrogen. Why is this not going here? Oh, we need to finish this. And they can't reach that, so that makes sense. So yeah, there we go. We have our whole little settlement here. My duplicants can safely live in here now. And all we need to do is expand like we typically did at the beginning of the game. So I'll add a bunch of buildings here in the meantime. I'll add my Great Hall, I'll add a bedroom, I'll add some bathrooms, and I will start growing crops with some of the native water that's already here. We might as well use it, and there's a lot to go around. So I'm just going to start growing a whole bunch of bristle blossoms in the meantime. But yeah, we'll just kind of expand this out from here, but at least our duplicants are safe, and they have plenty of food that we brought, so they should be able to live here for a little while. So yeah, that's basically how you colonize another asteroid. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any other particular questions about this. Back in the other bases, by the way, I'm not really going to be doing that much because they're so underpopulated. I'm just going to be kind of expanding still, and if we have more projects coming up back there, I will mention them. But yeah, nothing wild going on in the other ones, but you do need to remember that you're juggling basically 3 different places right now. So yeah, just going to be expanding this one the most since I have the most duplicants here. So that'll be my plan. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you really soon.